What if you woke up tomorrow in a world without writing, wheels, or laws? Before ancient Mesopotamia, humans lived exactly like that for thousands of years. I'm Alex Arnold from Arnie's Brain Train, and today we're uncovering the mind-blowing inventions from the world's first civilization that you use every single day without even knowing it. 5,000 years ago, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what's now Iraq, something unprecedented happened. Humans stopped wandering and started building the first cities. This region, known as the Fertile Crescent, had rich soil from seasonal flooding, creating ideal conditions for agriculture that allowed people to settle permanently and specialize in different skills. These weren't just incremental improvements, but quantum leaps in human capability that created entirely new possibilities for our species. And remarkably, they all emerged from a relatively small geographical area during a brief period of human history. But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button to join Arnie's Brain Train for more mind-blowing history that your teachers never told you about. Around 3200 BCE, Mesopotamians faced a serious problem. Their cities were getting bigger, trade was booming, and they needed a way to keep track of who owned what. Their ingenious solution? Little clay tablets with pictures pressed into them. These weren't just doodles, this was cuneiform, the world's first writing system. The word cuneiform means wedge-shaped, referring to the distinctive marks made by pressing a reed stylus into soft clay. At first, they were simple pictographs. A sheep looked like a sheep. But over time, these became more abstract, turning into the wedge-shaped marks that give cuneiform its name. The earliest tablets were purely administrative, recording quantities of grain or livestock. But within a few centuries, Mesopotamians began recording epic poems like Gilgamesh, medical treatments, astronomical observations, and personal letters. The library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh contained over 30,000 tablets on subjects ranging from medicine to mythology. Imagine being the first person to realize you could record sounds, not just pictures, that your words could outlive you by thousands of years. That's exactly what happened when the scribes began using symbols to represent syllables rather than just objects. According to archaeologist Dr. Irving Finkel, writing fundamentally changed how human minds work. For the first time, knowledge could exist outside a human brain. This cognitive revolution meant ideas could travel across time and space, accumulating in ways impossible before. So, next time you're texting, remember, you're using technology conceptually identical to the one invented by ancient Iraqi accountants trying to keep track of their sheep and beer. You might think wheels have always been around, but someone had to think them up. Around 3500 BCE, a Sumerian potter had a brilliant idea to make their job easier. The first wheels weren't for carts, they were for potter's wheels. Mesopotamians used them to create perfectly symmetrical pots quickly. By placing clay on a rotating platform, potters could shape vessels with unprecedented speed and consistency. Only later did someone actually make the leap to think, what if we turn this thing sideways and put it under things? By 3200 BCE, they had wheeled carts pulled by donkeys or oxen. Archaeological finds from the royal cemetery at Ur include wheeled vehicles buried with nobility, suggesting that they were prestigious possessions. This might seem simple, but it revolutionized transportation. Suddenly, one person with an animal-drawn cart could move loads that would have required several people before. The wheel multiplied human labor capacity, allowing for more efficient agriculture and expanded trade networks. The military applications were equally revolutionary. By the mid-3rd millennium BCE, Sumerian armies deployed battle wagons that could rapidly deliver soldiers to different parts of the battlefield. So from your bicycle to the Mars rovers, wheels remain the foundation of transportation technology. Not bad for a 5,500-year-old invention. So, have you ever looked around and wondered to yourself, who invented the idea of the city? The Sumerians built Uruk, the world's first true city, around 4000 BC. But they didn't just pile buildings together, they created urban planning. They even developed drainage systems. Archaeological excavations at Eshnunna revealed clay pipes for removing wastewater from homes. Some wealthy homes had what we'd recognize as primitive toilets. According to urban historian Professor Jason Ur, Mesopotamians established patterns of urban living that we still follow today, from dividing cities into districts to creating public and private spaces. So the next time you see a zoning map or hear about a city's downtown district, remember, you're seeing the direct legacy of Mesopotamian urban planners from 6,000 years ago. Ever wondered why we have 60 minutes in an hour, or 360 degrees in a circle? Well, thank the Mesopotamians. They invented a number system based on 60, called the sexagesimal system, which has proven so useful that we still use it nearly 4,000 years later. Mesopotamian mathematics began with practical accounting needs around 3300 BCE. By 2000 BCE, they had developed a sophisticated system with place value notation, the concept that a digit's position determines its value, just like our decimal system. The famous Plimpton 322 clay tablet from around 1800 BCE contains what mathematicians recognize as Pythagorean triples 1,000 years before Pythagoras was born. Their mathematical texts show that they could solve complex equations, calculate areas and volumes, and even developed early forms of algebra. Their 60-based system was perfect because 60 has many divisors, making fractions easier. This mathematical convenience made calculations more practical for merchants, architects, and astronomers alike. According to mathematician Eleanor Robson, every time you check your watch or use a protractor, you're using a direct mathematical descendant of an ancient Mesopotamian innovation. Mesopotamians were obsessed with the stars, not just for beauty, but because they believed celestial movements revealed the gods' intentions. This led them to become the world's first serious astronomers. By 3000 BCE, they were tracking planets and stars, recording eclipses, and predicting celestial events with impressive accuracy. They divided the sky into the 12 constellations we now know as the zodiac. They created the first calendar based on the moon's phases, each month beginning with the new moon. But when they noticed this created a year slightly shorter than the solar year, they invented leap months to keep the seasons aligned. The Mul-Apin tablets record thousands of astronomical observations made over centuries. According to astronomer Professor John Steele, Mesopotamian astronomical records are so accurate that modern astronomers can use them to calculate long-term changes in the Earth's rotation. Well, there it is, our 7-day week, our 12-month year, and our 24-hour day all come directly from Mesopotamian astronomy. Almost 4,000 years ago, a Babylonian king named Hammurabi did something revolutionary. He created a massive stone pillar covered in laws that applied to everyone, the world's first comprehensive legal code. Hammurabi's code covered everything from property rights and family law to professional standards and criminal justice. It famously included an eye for an eye, which sounds harsh today, but was actually meant to limit excessive punishment. Before these written laws, justice depended entirely on the whims of powerful individuals. Written codes meant even kings had to follow consistent rules, a revolutionary concept. Law historian Martha Roth writes, Mesopotamian legal codes were the first attempt to create a society governed by rules rather than rulers. Today's legal systems, with their written laws, courts, contracts, and professional judges, all trace back to innovations first developed in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia literally means the land between the rivers, but ironically, natural rainfall wasn't enough for reliable farming. Southern Mesopotamia receives less than 6 inches of rain annually, insufficient for crops without supplemental water. Their solution? The world's first large-scale irrigation systems. By 6000 BCE, farmers were digging sophisticated canal networks carrying river water to fields miles away. What began as simple ditches evolved into complex hydraulic engineering projects spanning hundreds of miles. Satellite imagery has revealed ancient canal networks covering over 50,000 square kilometers. They invented water lifting devices like the shaduf around 3000 BCE, a counterbalance lever system allowing a single farmer to lift water from canals to higher fields. Later, they developed the noria, a water wheel with attached pots that automatically lifted water when turned by river current. Clay tablets record detailed water allocation agreements between communities. They created dikes to protect fields from floods and reservoirs to store water for the dry season. They also pioneered crop rotation and developed specialized farming tools like the cedar plow, which simultaneously turned soil and planted seeds at the proper depth. Archaeologist Robert McAdams notes, the irrigation systems of ancient Mesopotamia required social organization on an unprecedented scale, effectively creating the world's first states. These innovations made it possible to feed thousands of non-food producing city dwellers, the fundamental prerequisite for specialized labor and all of the other hallmarks of civilization. Around 3500 BCE, Mesopotamian craftspeople made a world-changing accidental discovery. While firing pottery glazes, they created glass, the world's first artificial material. This discovery built on Mesopotamia's sophisticated pyrotechnology, with kilns regularly achieving temperatures above 1000 degrees Celsius. Early glass was mostly used for beads and small decorative items. By 1500 BCE, they could create hollow glass vessels using sophisticated techniques. Mesopotamian glassmakers discovered how to add minerals to create colors: copper for blue and green, manganese for purple, cobalt for deep blue, and antimony for yellow. A 7th century BCE Assyrian tablet contains what may be the world's first glass recipe. They developed forming techniques that remained standard until the invention of glass blowing 1,000 years later. The most common was core forming, where molten glass was wrapped around a removable clay core to create hollow vessels. According to glass historian Dr. Julian Henderson, the Mesopotamian invention of glass transformed human material culture more profoundly than almost any other innovation. From your screens to fiber optic cables, from windows to telescope lenses, glass remains one of humanity's most important materials, all thanks to ancient Mesopotamian craftspeople. Ever wonder who decided there should be 60 seconds in a minute? Once again, it was the Mesopotamians who first divided time into the units we still use today. Now, While this might be piggybacking off of mathematics, around 2000 BCE they created water clocks that measured time by the regulated flow of water through a small hole. They developed sundials that tracked the sun's shadow to measure daylight hours. The Babylonians divided day and night into 12 hours each, giving us our 24-hour day. They further divided hours into 60 minutes and 60 minutes into 60 seconds, using their sexagesimal number system. Historian Daniel Rosenberg explains, time measurement was crucial for Mesopotamian astronomy, religious ceremonies, and commerce. Their divisions of time have proven remarkably durable. So every time you check how many minutes are left in this video, you're using a direct descendant of Mesopotamian time measurement. And finally, about 5,000 years ago, temples in ancient Uruk began storing valuables for safekeeping. Over time, they realized that they could put these deposits to work by lending them out, and banking was born. By 1800 BCE, Babylonians had a sophisticated financial system. They offered loans with interest, investment financing for trading expeditions, and letters of credit that merchants could use in distant cities instead of carrying silver. The Mesopotamians invented crucial financial concepts: interest rates, collateral, loan contracts with specific repayment terms, and even limited liability for investors. According to economic historian Mark van de Meerup, the foundations of modern financial systems were established in Mesopotamia long before the rise of Greek and Roman civilization. So, from your savings account to credit cards to mortgages, you're using financial tools first developed in Mesopotamia thousands of years ago. From the moment you check the time to the legal system that protects your rights, Mesopotamian innovations are woven into your daily life. These weren't just clever ideas, they were the foundation stones of human civilization itself. What makes this extraordinary is that these innovations appeared in a relatively short span, primarily between 4000 and 2000 BCE. For perspective, that's roughly the same time distance from us as ancient Rome. Most remarkable of all, these weren't created by different societies scattered globally. They all emerged from the same cultural area in what's now Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey, truly humanity's first great innovation hub. But why Mesopotamia? Several factors converged: fertile agricultural land that could support dense populations, the challenge of managing seasonal flooding that required cooperation, diverse cultures meeting along trade routes, and the emergence of cities where specialists could dedicate their lives to specific crafts. The Mesopotamian achievement represents one of humanity's greatest leaps forward. Before them, humans lived much as they had for tens of thousands of years. After them, the fundamental technologies of civilization existed. They effectively created the operating system upon which all subsequent human societies have been built. Well guys, I'm Alex Arnold from Arnie's Brain Train, and if you enjoyed learning about these forgotten firsts, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing history. All of the scholarly sources I use are in the description below if you want to explore further. Now, what Mesopotamian invention surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you have ideas for other ancient civilizations you'd like me to cover, drop those below too. All ideas are welcome. Until next time, this is Arnie's Brain Train, where we make history fun, one video at a time. See you guys next time.